some reactions online, but we are going to save those questions and those comments for later on for the dialogues. And I'm going to invite our next presenter, Daniel O'Reilly. So if we can have him.
He's on the way.
Sorry?
He's on the way. I've promoted him to panelist, so he should be here soon. Here he is.
Yes. There he is. Hello, Daniel. So lovely to be here. Daniel is joining us from Spain, where he's based. I'm going to briefly say that Daniel is a sound artist and a writer of experimental short stories. He's based in Catalunia in Spain. He is the director of Archipelago, an avant-garde literature press. And he is going to share with us a sound piece. And but first, he's going to introduce the piece to the audience online and the audience here in the gallery. So over to you, Daniel.
Hi, Marina. Thank you very much. I just wanted to say thank you to you especially and to all the other participants for this morning. It's a very good opportunity to present my work. And thanks for the Mud Collective for a lot of very interesting things to think about already. Okay, so I'm very happy to invite you to experience some of the experimental audio works that I've got under development at the moment. And to do so, I think I'll tell you a little bit about how I arrived at where I'm at the moment and the ways in which collaboration especially has influenced my practice throughout my career. Like Marina said, I'm principally a writer, and you'll hear some of my fiction as well. But as an artist, I've been working with sound for over 20 years. So this relationship is quite complex and not something I'm really going to explain too much. I mean, sound is already a collaborative experience. It's something that we're going to participate in together. So we'll move on to that. So a little bit of background. In 2011, my wife, Mariana, and I, we've been working collaboratively since we've been married, we created an experimental website called The Institute, which is actually a community-built arts center for showing online and practice-based art. So we wanted to create a nomadic virtual space underneath the internet through which we could participate with fellow artists on projects and leverage the strength of community participation to build exhibitions. And this sits inside a completely novel type of architecture, which is actually disruptive of the commercialized internet. So if you take a look at, it's called theinstitute.org, you'll find there like an art gallery website with group exhibitions and archives, a library, and all kinds of other things. But it's weird to move around and not quite so straightforward. So I invite you to take a look at that if you like. So moving on a bit, in 2015, my family and I, we moved from London to India, to the Oroville International Township, to go and get a first-hand experience of a community project of people who were grouped together and were looking to advance new ways of harmonious co-living. So this was also a part of a response to my own personal journey as an artist, to go and experience cultures firsthand and to engage with other people in different places who are coming at things with different approaches. So it was a very rich time indeed, and I met a lot of people there and did a lot of audio work. So during the time I worked at the radio station there, so that involved having to go out every night and record concerts and debates and poetry readings and town council meetings and everything that affected the cultural life of people living in Oroville. And also at the same time, I wrote a few hours worth of kind of sound environments for people to meditate to. So what I would do is I'd go out and wander into the jungle every night with my sound recorder and go and take samples of pretty much anything I can hear. And then working with that, I'd start to process these things into a kind of, basically into an ambient music track, which would offer different types of stimulation to you when you're sitting and listening to it. So that's kind of the first time that I worked with that. And that set a bit of a tone for later projects. So since then, since actually 2018, my family and I, we moved here to Catalonia in Spain. So during this time, I've mainly been writing fiction, but I've also produced more ambient music audio works, and I've started using my turntables as more of an artistic tool this time. So I created a series of works just this month for the International Exhibition of Surrealism, which is currently on in Cairo and is later on moving to the André Breton House in France. So I produced 6 or 7 hours worth of ambient music to serve as a background to the exhibitions that are happening. One of the ways I came at this was by using my library of audio that I've been assembling over the years. And because the principal activity of the Cairo Surrealists is collaging, so it's basically sampling culture that's already here and combining things to produce new results, I decided to use my turntables in a similar way that the hip hop artists in the late 70s and early 80s in America were using to sample small sections of audio and put them into new recordings, basically generating brand new music from out of two turntables and a mixer, which is a very innovative development. Obviously, it's quite old news now, but it's like it's still very exciting to work in and produces a lot of interesting new dimensions, I believe. So that kind of seemed to fit together quite well. So for today's seminar, I've combined a small section of this audio that I produced for the Surrealists in Egypt, and I combined that with a piece of poetry that I've recorded and turned into a sound piece, and they sit together. So even though you're not really seeing like a finished piece of work, you're seeing a kind of mixed selection that hopefully will give you some kind of indication of what's going on here. So yeah, finally, I would just like to invite anyone to come and visit my projects online, can listen to what I'm doing, and I'm very open to participation of all kinds. So yeah, I'm here. Just want to say hi. Thanks again to Marina. I hope you enjoy what you're about to hear. Yeah, thanks again.
Thank you for explaining your work, introducing your work. If you would like to share with us in the chat the websites, the links for these collectives, and what a wonderful way of thinking about working together as a collage, and a collage of communities, of people, a collage of sounds, and also maybe it would be really nice to suggest the people joining us online and people here in the gallery that we can summarize and experience this sound piece collectively, and see where it takes us. Thank you very much. I think Henry is going to play it now for us.
Cephalopod. In centuries preceding, during the long dark night of people past, the light from the moon was different, they say. Carpet weavers watched sporadic clouds wrestle with thick air as translucent sentiments, ribbed by fleshy coils, pointed fingers at old friends. Tarpaulin Trevani, female, teacher of 20,
payer of federal taxes, architect of the west winds, lover of afternoons, Route 79 to Tiruvannamalai, rush hour smoke, brimstone, incense, puja. Astarte, at last longed a cantaloupe queen, conscious like burned butter afloat in disquieting nodes of boiled heroism, sheer terror written on her bronze armor in longhand Sufic prose, arrows bristling brilliant shafts of light upon those who stand amazed. In showers of liquid lead and riddles like retribution, she raises up her head in thunderous paroxysms of wildfire, incinerating the noise of the Nasdaq trading floor via the quietest opening, or tearing into the roaring 20s. Like lovers, they eat themselves whole. A pain-pointed predilection for killing gods of all sorts, striking them to the ground, howling, shrieking for mercy, but showing none, misusing the corpse after the kill like Orca with a dead seal, or Achilles with Hector's remains. We play with death. It makes us young. Silver serpents entwine the harp locket of a young man in Queens. The crepuscular silhouettes of tall buildings, all empty, as in a dream. Bitter chills in the wind from Hudson's Channel, flashes of red lightning, banshees in the street below setting the dumpster afire. This wraith-like apparition only masquerades as a city, a riddle, an omen, a curse, a picture of petty consequences catalyzing a tuber-shaped oath for remedying unlikely afflictions of the psyche, like the pinch of a rubber band wound too tightly around your finger. Entrenched layers of decimal decline pontificate politely to a crowd of mainly young goat herds, but they don't mind, as any entertainment will suffice for a goat herd of the Bactrian Valley, long-suffering in the August Afghan oven heat, yearning for the cool Hindu Kush. Up there, queens look down from snowy temples, peaks outlined by the monsoon moon, vanished layers of paradise passing instantaneously from view. Instantaneously. Borders bind the wealthy to the poor, but in seaside temples of voluminous concern we count epigrams between sunsets, rallying fractious spirits in the meanwhile, damaging civic furniture installed in the Citibank Plaza. The old guard sits outside the bank on a plastic beach chair, machine gun hanging lazily at his side, smiling cheerfully at the calls of the brain fever birds stirring raptures in the daytime as if coaxing clams from shells, a child of every man. Now we are ringing in the new year by the 7 bridges of Königsberg, full of cheap fortified wine and high on superglue, destroying the way of life for those who cannot know better, sweetening a joyous relation between the Baroque lintel and its most spiritual rejoinder. Openings, ruptures and fissures decimate Dorothy Drumwise on her drunk drive through the Badlands of Blackpool, BMW unlicensed, DMT fairground flakeout. She sings sweet misses of the golden age, of Plutarch, Pindar and of Ovid, precious oil pressed by a memory of Mediterranean light, the oil, a liquid gold down payment on civilization, earned through dusty toil. Inclinations of ages move with tectonic twists, first shifting this way, then that way, as with the latest dance fad. I know that you know that this way and that way is a vital mechanism of natural philosophy. The waggle dance of industry, the fiesta after the feast, festivals observed on temple grounds and with much smoke and incense. Fictions bind the hive mind, occluded by each personal ego like a residue of things to come, a hollowing out of things which have already passed. Astarte above, chariot rider of fury, smoking halos of pure fire above the heads of gathered postmodernists, crypto-Marxists, and other groups assembled for purposes only spectacle may account for. In a Nasimic New Babylon, in an endless plan of constant architecture, sketch after sketch of alleyways and avenues, flows, interruptions, passages of ludic intrigue, our only concern will be for how the wind goes. The city gestalt stacked tier upon tier, as with the Hindu temple, the sombre front of a necropolis, grey and overbearing, pantheonic structures of dead gods hewn into rock, but haphazardly, without plan or meaning, with only sense, intuition, and primary repression to guide the chisel. The temple of pure, empty worship, accessed via doors which only appear to be doors, words which only appear to be words, each word a door signifying an exit, but signifying without being. The cultivation of ways, sulfurite ligaments imposing reasonable content on expounding gases, phosphorescent burns blister the torn corners of Lloyd George's copy of The Life of Gargantua and of Pantagruel. But this will not be a problem for long, at least not for several centuries. The matriarchal temple builders of our mother, Our Lady, Notre Dame. The swollen, translucent body nurtures a billion babies in complex, mythic tunnels underground. Our Lady, the temple, human animal machine laid with mortar and keystone, high Romanesque arches, transverse, ribbed, darkened by smoke of incense that beckons, intoxicates, shines, yet moulds over quickly. The body of Our Lady nurtures a repugnant decay where fungi of a million kinds find resplendent consumption. The gentle wood breeze lifts spores up and into the rainforest above, the penthouses, tower blocks, the Gothic quarter below, even the suburbs populated with 1,000 empty houses, empty restaurants, empty hotels, emptiness itself. The crowing cock of L'Hospitalet de Llobregat 2,000 years ago is heard today more clearly than ever before, or so it is reported by La Vanguardia, thumbed in street corners by elderly gentlemen sipping coffee in districts of towering blocks, brutalist forms, echoes of steel rod construction divining bittersweet sunsets of lackadaisical reform, wilted in margarita sunsets, sugary sensualities disinhibiting bashful dissimulation with the gait and libido of a wild cur, roaming street corners or between mummy skirts, around the kitchen table, dresser, the panty drawer. Our Lady of the Llobregat intends 2,000 years of certitude for divine discourses on nature, for a thorough study of Deleuze, for a month-long dance of the wild kind, for carnivals of a schizoid nature, for a Heraclitean passing and never returning. Our retreat towards a porcelain past resides in a turpentine residue of vistas opening above the Sierra Nevada, that pillar supporting the vaulted deep blue sky, keeping worm-eaten heavens from falling. Remember how we drove there in December of 2018? How the warning signs for ice hazards slowed us for many miles? We sat in the steamy car and drank tea from a flask, ate sandwiches prepared earlier at home, austerity gnawing at the innards. Porcelain does not protect against cysts, large as an eyeball pickled in vinegar solution, stacked on a high shelf in a back room of the British Museum. Perhaps it was Napoleon's eye. Perhaps it was not. It was I, not Napoleon, who took the moon and put it at the bottom of a lake littered with the bloated bodies of Englishmen drowned in their resprayed Range Rovers. Between velour flaps, cold castellations and raptures coloured like velvet bands at the fair. Phalanxes shimmer like desert lizards tussling in the heat of day. The axe head aligns at the very base of the skull to release 1,000 demons from their hiding places. Demons who vie against one another in their scramble to escape this mind forever, darting this way and that. A confusion of beastly shapes, writhing in colours, both sapphire and turquoise.
I was mute, of course. So show another round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Daniel, for that, for taking us on a journey. And yes, it seems to be that today we need to go deeper, go inside, and explore more inner landscapes. Very, very much appreciated. Thank you so much. So we're gonna stop for a break for refreshments, and we are going to come back at 12:15. Is that so? At 12, we're going to come back at 12 for Caroline's presentation. Yes, thank you very much.